Supreme Court asked Abu Ramadan to present written objections to Electoral Commission's NHIS list.
Registered political parties to start appearing on GBC's platforms from tomorrow.
And noisy churches and mosques shut down in Lagos, Nigeria. Good evening and many thanks for joining us. This is News Hour live on GBC24 as well as GTV. My name is Emmanuel Amagashi.
And my name is Akpene Avo Ajaja. Clement Sam is also here with us and he will do the sign language translation of the news.
We take the first story. A service has been held in Accra to commemorate the death of the High Court judges who were murdered in cold blood after having been abducted from their homes during curfew hours. The four were Mrs. Justice Cecilia Kranting Adu, Mr. Justice Kwejoe J. Ejepon, Justice Fred Pokusa Akodie, and Major Retired Sam Akwa.
At the 34th Remembrance Service, the President of the Ghana Bar Association, Mr. Banson Nchukwi, said it is an appropriate occasion to examine the role of judges and lawyers in the defense of the rule of law. He said an independent judiciary is the backbone of rule of law. In view of this, a judiciary that is protected against all forms of intimidation and interference is key to securing judicial independence. Take you now to the Supreme Court, where lawyers for Abu Ramadan have been asked to serve the court in writing their objections by Monday, the 4th of July, in respect of the list presented by the EC to the Supreme Court of persons who registered on the electoral roll using the NHIS card. This follows the comment by lead counsel Frank Davis that the document had some irregularities that needed to be resolved.
The five-member panel chaired by the Chief Justice, Madam Georgina Theodora Wood, adjourned hearing to the 5th of July for a ruling on the substantive issue.
Proceedings came to a halt when the court gave the lawyers of Abu Ramadan an hour to peruse the contents of the list served the court, as lawyers of Abu Ramadan told the court that they were served by the EC at 11:30 in the morning. Counsel for Abu Ramadan, Mr. Frank Davis, cited some anomalies with the document filed by the EC. For instance, at Efija Kwabre, some number of voters, specifically number 18 to 55 on the list, had no NHIS card numbers indicated on their forms, whereas others had their NHIS card numbers clearly indicated. Their concern was that on what basis, therefore, was the EC able to furnish those details, whereas the primary source, which is Form 1A, did not indicate the form of identification used by the voter for registration. But lawyers of the EC responded that the documents were manually generated, and this error could be due to an oversight on the part of the registration officer. The five-member panel chaired by the Chief Justice, Madam Georgina Theodora Wood, noted that the EC should have clearly indicated the anomalies in the document filed. Lawyers of Abu Ramadan now have to submit a list of all their objections to the court on Monday, July 4th in the morning.
NHIS cards are 8 digits. They are not alphanumeric. They are 8 digits. Yeah. Some are 7, some are 6, some are 9, some are 12. Some are even alphanumeric. It's a problem. Some are 0 at all. It's a problem. So we'll take our time and go through it.
Then Monday
we'll file a process.
Monday we'll sit down Friday.
The Chief Justice, Madam Georgina Wood, made a public appeal entreating all Ghanaians to make available to the EC any information on persons who may have registered with an NHIS card to the EC, since it is a shared responsibility. The Supreme Court is expected to give a ruling and further orders on the substantive issue on Tuesday, July 5th, 2016. For GBC24, Shelley Bewa reporting.
Starting tomorrow, the 1st of July 2016, all the 24 registered political parties will have the opportunity to appear on the 6 television channels and 15 nationwide and community radio stations of GBC across the country to reach out to the electorates. To ensure fairness and objectivity, all the parties participated in a ballot which assigned the parties the order in which they will appear. In all, 17 out of the 24 political parties trooped to the offices of the National Lotteries Authority to push for the slot to appear on the state broadcaster.
To Dodowa now, more than 10% of drivers' licenses and roadworthy certificates in circulation are fake. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority (DVLA) has revealed at a media encounter in Dodowa in the Greater Accra region. The Executive Director of DVLA, Mr. Noble Linketia, said even with the electronic regime, fraudsters, also known as Goro boys, still manage to issue fake licenses to unsuspecting drivers. He said the DVLA is putting in measures that will make it impossible for the Goro boys to operate.
The DVLA is the only authority that issues driving licenses and roadworthy stickers. However, the underhand dealings of the Goro boys are undermining its work. Again, instructors of some driving schools sit in for their students to write driving license examinations conducted by the DVLA. In most situations, those who acquire licenses through some of these fraudulent means lack experience and thus become threats to other road users. The first quarter of this year alone had already recorded over 500 deaths in road accidents, a number which exceeds what was recorded last year within the same period.
Election years are problematic. We suspect that political party activity and campaigns have accounted for these rise. If you will look back to this year, I'm sure you would agree that there have been cases of political party activists, constituency chairpersons and leaders who've had accidents, many of whom have lost their lives.
To help address the challenges of road insecurity, the DVLA is collaborating with National Road Safety Commission, the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union to sensitize the public on the need to comply with road safety regulations.
Every Ghanaian in any tertiary institution, whether a 3-year program, a 4-year program, if I complete, we have ensured that you have gotten a driving license. First, it will be a genuine one. We come to the campus, we do the training and all the processes. You don't have to pass through any people to go through that. Things are changing, the vehicle standards are changing, driving habits are changing, everything. So there's need for us to move ahead.
Reports indicate that the activities of the political parties in an election year are also seen to contribute to road insecurity in the country. In its determination to discourage fake drivers and vehicular documents, the DVLA is to make its services accessible to the public in all district capitals by 2026.
Anti-corruption crusaders and experts have proposed that Ghana's goal of tackling corruption can best be achieved with the successful implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. The 10-year strategic plan seeks to tackle corruption holistically through prevention, education and enforcement. This was the outcome of the maiden Anti-Corruption Forum held in Accra.
The forum was to address the gaps in the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan (NACAP). After about 2 years in operation, Ghana adopted NACAP to serve as a guide in handling corruption issues. For some time now, the world has witnessed a steady rise in corruption, with Ghana having its own share of the canker. Talk of the 2015 Anas Arimayawa Nas judicial scandal, the National Service Recruitment Saga, JIDA, SADA, the Smartest Rebranding Saga, the Auditors General's reports on misappropriation of funds by the various MMDAs and exam leakages, among others. These reveal that the phenomenon has eaten into every sphere of the society. Experts say it is one of the obstacles to the socio-economic development of nations.
Parliament, the executive, the judiciary, anti-corruption institutions, civil society institutions, and the general public each has a role, an important role to play in the fight against the canker of corruption, which has a devastating impact on our economy and national development. The NACAP adopts a strategic three-pronged approach to the fight against corruption, namely prevention, education, and effective investigation and prosecution.
The advisor on governance Office of the President, Mr. Daniel Batidam, says trust is crucial in the nation's drive to fight corruption.
No government can fight corruption alone, because corruption does not take place only within government circles. And in fact, if you were to look at the matrix of what goes into corruption at national levels, you would realize that all of us, from our different points, are contributing so much. Sometimes it's interesting how we perceive that it is where you are that makes you either corrupt or not. That's not true at all. There are corrupt people in all the sectors. So if we want to fight corruption, we need crusaders from all sectors, including and perhaps especially government.
Speaker after speaker was concerned about the phenomenon being witnessed in the country where wrong has overshadowed right. They assessed that despite the headway, Ghana is yet to have a definite definition of what corruption is. This, some argue, that has made it difficult or even impossible to prosecute persons implicated in corruption scandals. The absence of a substantive head of STRAJ was also raised. The forum was spearheaded by the Ghana Integrity Initiative and STRAJ.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC24 and GTV. Moving on. The Ghana Institute of Linguistics, Literacy and Bible Translation, Gilbert, has outdoored complete Holy Bibles in 5 of the Ghanaian dialects at a program in Kumasi. The outdooring coincided with the Patrons of Bible Translation in Africa International Conference and fundraising campaign attended by representatives of other Bible translating organizations.
The completion of the full Bibles in 5 dialects bring to 14 the number of successful publications of the full versions of the Bible into local dialects. The new Bibles are in the Kasim, Gonja, Kusau, Nafranra, and Dega languages. The translation took many years and was completed in 2015. The Bibles were outdoored and handed over to reverend ministers from ethnic groups that speak those dialects. The objective of the project is to promote literacy in Ghanaian mother tongues and disseminate the word of God to all parts of the country through the local languages. So far, the Ghana Institute of Linguistics, Literacy and Bible Translation Guild has been supported mainly by external donors to publish 30 New Testament Bibles and 14 full Bibles, with 7 other translations still in the process. The Executive Director of Guild, Dr. Paulo Pokumensa, explained that the international conference and fundraising campaign was to encourage local people to support the translation of the Holy Bible. There were solidarity messages from the various groups, including the Nigeria Bible Translation Trust and the Summer Institute of Linguistics, SIL. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. John Alexander Akon, expressed concern about what he called the deliberate misinterpretation of the Bible to achieve selfish ends. The chairman of Gilbert's board, Reverend Thomas Saibu Imoru, said they have projected to start translating the Holy Bible into all the remaining Ghanaian dialects where necessary by the year 2020. The Asante Mamponhene Dasibre Oseibunsu, who represented the patron of the Bible translation project, Otumfo Seitutu, commended Gilbert for the work.
Wednesday, the 6th of July, which marks the Eid al-Fitr celebration, is a statutory holiday. A statement signed by the Minister of the Interior, Mr. Prosper Bani, says the day is to be observed throughout the country. News, my name is Esther Edu Ohumewu. Now, Talo Ghana says it will shut down the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah for 8 to 12 weeks in the first half of 2017. This will enable operators to rotate the FPSO to its optimal spread more heading in the first half of 2017. The work program, covering 2 phases, requires government of Ghana's approval, and it is expected to cost $100 to $150 million. In a trading statement and operational update released today, Talo Ghana said upon completion of the program in mid-2017, the partners will review opportunities to improve the efficiency of the procedures. The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Hannah Tete, has called on the private sector and civil society organizations to participate in the upcoming Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD, in Kenya. At a media briefing in Accra, the minister said the conference would provide Ghanaian entrepreneurs with an array of opportunities, including other business operators to partner with. The Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD, was launched in 1993 by the government of Japan to promote Africa's development. This year's upcoming TICAD will discuss some issues relating to industrialization, health, and economic stability in Africa. The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Hannah Tete, said TICAD 6 would provide the Japanese investors opportunities that are available in Africa.
The objectives of TICAD 6 are as follows: to evaluate the status of implementation of TICAD 5 and consider new challenges and emerging issues of African development as aligned to the African Union Agenda 2063 to create the Africa we want. In this TICAD 6 that is going to take place, because there will be fora for the private sector, it is anticipated that if we are also able to expand our participation to include private sector players, then it will give the Ghanaian private sector also the opportunity to look at the possibility of developing partnerships with their Japanese counterparts to focus on any of the areas that I have identified for you as the 3 pillars.
The Director of Investment Services of GIPC, Mr. Edward Ashon Latte, gave some pointers on the Japanese business culture.
As a businessman, you must have your business profile. You must have a profile of the business. You should talk about the management team, the sort of organization you have, how many employees you even have, and if possible, the market share that you have in the specific products. And if you belong to any association, they would like to know, because it acts as a source of reference. And that is why in trying to invite people, we try to go through the recognized chambers such as the World Trade Center, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce, Association of Ghana Industries. Over there, they take these associations very seriously because they do the advocacy for them.
TICAD 6 will be held from the 27th to 28th of August in Nairobi this year. On the currency market, the cedi lost 9 pesos to the pound sterling, 3 pesos to the euro, and 2 pesos to the dollar. Cocoa gained $12 on the international commodity market to sell at $3,062 per ton. The insurance news is right after the break. Players in the insurance sector across Africa have been challenged to be innovative and creative in coming up with products relevant and applicable to African markets. This came up when insurance experts met during the African Trade Insurance Agency meeting in Rwanda. That's all by way of business. Thanks for watching.
In health news, the World Health Organization and UNICEF says the first 1,000 days of a child's life can have a real influence on how they develop, grow, and learn for his or her whole life. However, this is the time that the child needs good nutrition for healthy growth. When it comes to babies, breastfeeding is the best and provides the ideal balanced diet and protection against illness.
This is the Abbey family from Udumang in Ga South Municipality. Mr. and Mrs. Abbey understands exclusive breastfeeding and have been adhering to the practice for their 4 children. To them, the best way of feeding a baby is the breast milk. They believe breast milk promotes sensory and cognitive development and protects the infant against infectious and chronic diseases. Another resident of Uduman, Mrs. Mabel Akwe, has 3 children, but thinks that exclusive breastfeeding is not the way to go.
They hearly say items to feed the baby, to make them meat.
A child's body uses nutrients from food to function properly and stay healthy. These nutrients include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. In the right amounts, nutrients give a child the energy to grow, learn, and be active. Health experts say poor nutrition can cause health problems, overweight, and obesity. Some of the health problems associated with poor nutrition can be very serious, especially as a child grows. A report from UNICEF indicates that child malnutrition has become a global embarrassment, particularly in the developing world, where malnutrition is the attributable cause of more than half of all child deaths. According to WHO and UNICEF, giving children the best start in life begins with breastfeeding, one of the cost-effective ways of supporting healthy, well-nourished children and sustainable growth.
It is good to give the breast milk because it helps. The breast milk contains all the nutritional value to help with the growth of the child.
Globally, inadequate nutrition is an underlying cause of the deaths of more than 2.6 million children and over 100,000 mothers every year. Many health groups, such as World Health Organization, WHO, and UNICEF support 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding and continued partial breastfeeding for extended periods. They believe that breast milk offers benefits for both mother and baby. Some mothers, especially working mothers, express milk to be used later when their child is being cared for by others. Working women in the formal and informal sectors around the world, including Ghana, face challenges combining work with breastfeeding. Some organizations encourage mothers to take off 24 weeks of fully paid leave soon after their babies are born to support them to exclusively breastfeed. And when their working mothers do return to work, they allow them to leave office early to prioritize breastfeeding their babies. Such organizations include the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, UNICEF, WHO, and Nestle Ghana. Nestle Ghana has introduced paternity leave for its male employees to support exclusive breastfeeding for infants within their first 1,000 days in life.
In line with the WHO's recommendation, we promote exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life.
Statutorily, you're supposed to have, I think, between 3 to 4 months, and then I included my annual leave, and then I had a 6 months.
I have 2 kids, and all of them, I did exclusive breastfeeding, and I can see the benefits of it. Brain-wise, they are sharper, and then naturally, they look very healthy.
Health experts say breastfeeding triggers biochemical reactions which allows for the enzymes, hormones, growth factors, and immunologic substances to effectively defend against infectious diseases for the infant.
When all mothers give their children exclusive breastfeeding, these children will not fall sick, and then also it will reduce pressure on their facilities.
Exclusive breastfeeding is recommended up to 6 months of age, with continued breastfeeding along with appropriate complementary foods up to 2 years of age or beyond.
Management and staff of the Graphic Communications Group have organized a blood donation exercise at its headquarters in Accra. The exercise is aimed at increasing the stock level of blood at the National Blood Service to enable them prepare for blood transfusion-related emergencies.
The management and staff of the Graphic Communications Group, as well as residents of Adabraka, took part in the exercise. Health officials from the Ghana Blood Service were on hand to take the blood donors through the donation to ensure a casualty-free exercise. This is the second edition of the annual blood donation exercise of the Graphic Communications Group. The first, which was held last year, saw the donation of 70 pints of blood. Expectation for this year's exercise is 400 pints of blood. The blood donors filled forms, had their blood pressure and pulse checked, then proceeded to donate blood. The Director of Packaging of the Graphic Communications Group, Mr. James Dazi, said healthcare is a priority for the company, hence the blood donation exercise.
We know blood is life. So for Graphic, health is very important to us as part of our corporate social responsibility. We hammer on that area in as much as we do other things.
A senior blood officer of the Southern Area Blood Center of the Ghana National Blood Service, Mr. Stephen Danso, urged all corporate bodies to replicate the step taken by Graphic. A unit of blood donated can save 3 lives.
Health News was brought to you by FPAC. We now take a break. International news is next. Ghana has been cautioned by the United States to increase its efforts to end modern-day slavery or risk losing millions of dollars in aid. The West African country has been listed second year in a row as a Tier 2 watch list country in the 2016 Trafficking in Persons report released on Thursday by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. And it says Ghana's position means its government is not fully meeting the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons and failed to provide evidence of increasing efforts to combat severe forms of trafficking in the past year, the U.S. Department of State explained in a statement.
Authorities in Nigeria's Lagos state have shut 70 churches and 20 mosques in an attempt to reduce high noise levels. About 10 hotels, pubs and clubhouses were also closed. Some estimates put Lagos' population at around 20 million, creating a constant background of noise from the blaring of car horns to the Muslim call to prayer and loud singing in churches. The state government has vowed to make the city the biggest in Africa noise-free by 2020.
To Angola now, where a court on Wednesday freed 16 young activists, including popular rapper Luati Berao, 3 months after they were jailed. In sports news, head coach of Liberty Professionals, George Lamptey, says, but for officiating, his side would have picked all 3 points at stake against Accra Hearts of Oak. The encounter ended 1-1.
Well, you see, sometimes I don't want to talk about officiating, but you are all looking at it. It is very, very bad. They just stop us from playing. Then this league is like referee control coach league, where referees are controllers. They come with the scores in hands. That's what they have. They have been doing that 20 years now, and nobody can stop them. It is very bad. You all saw that for yourself.
Oh, I think that we lost 2 points here today. We made the necessary thing to win the game. I think everybody saw the game. We completely spoiled their game. We made a very wonderful first half. We supposed to score at least 3 goals. We didn't make, so I can't be happy because we lost 2 points. Sorry, we lost 2 points today.
The 2016 National Road Baton Relay, a 30-kilometer relay event reserved for athletes at the various senior high schools, will take place tomorrow, July 1. The headline sponsors Blue Crest College says Winners in the male and female category will get full scholarship.
Commitment to develop as youth in the country, either through academics or through sports activities. That's the main reason we have been sponsoring all these kind of event here in the country. And we are a partner with Dreamland Sports, and last year also we were a partner of them. We ensured that we were there with them to supporting all those youth, mainly the senior high school students, because we believe that they are the leaders of tomorrow. Apart from the other gifts what we are giving to the winners, we are also providing full scholarship to all the winners of the boys and the girls category. And as I discussed last time also, the overall amount of the scholarship will be somewhere around 50,000 Ghana cedis, which will be including scholarship for degree programs for those students who are eligible who want to enter into any of a degree program at our college.
And that was sports. Valerie Danso comes up next with entertainment.
Hello, good evening. Time for some arts news. As the third edition of the Ghana Carnival inches closer, so does the anticipation. The carnival, with the theme My Culture Rocks, is aimed at showcasing the diverse and unique Ghanaian culture and traditions. Some spoken word artists slated to perform during the carnival were guests on our showbiz segment. The three-day carnival, which will be held from July the 1st to the 3rd of 2016, promises to be fun and exciting. The carnival will be used to promote domestic tourism and celebrate the country's cultural diversity.
Ghana Carnival, I think, and this is not the first time that you were at the launch. It's just bringing artists together to celebrate the Ghanaian culture.
Okay.
And that's a project by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts.
Highlights of the carnival include a parade which will start from Manchiagbona in Jamestown.
We have about 30 trucks that are going to move through.
Oh, wow.
From Jamestown through Makola, through to the Ridge, Oxford Street, and we go to stop at Oxford Street for some time. And
people have fun.
Fun, the live painting, the spoken word, and then from there we have to climax the whole thing at Independence Square.
There will also be a beach jam at the La Pleasure Beach on the 2nd and 3rd of July. The colorful event will witness various cultural groups from the 10 regions performing, with over 30 embassies in Ghana expected to participate in the float. Cultural troops from countries such as Seychelles, Togo, Trinidad and Tobago, and Nigeria are all expected to participate in the carnival. And that's all in this segment.
And this is where we part company from the entire production team. We say thanks for watching.
Join us at 10:30 for News Tonight.